The heart monitor flatlined. For exactly 3 minutes, Daniel was clinically dead. The hospital room blurred into silence as his body lay motionless. But Daniel, his consciousness, was somewhere else entirely. At first, there was nothing. Not a tunnel of light. Not peace. Just endless black. A void so deep it swallowed thought. His body no longer existed. There was no up, no down, no time. Just the terrifying realization that he was alone, or so he thought. Then he felt it, eyes. Not human, not warm. Watching him from the abyss. Cold. Ancient. A gaze that pierced through his very being. He couldn't see it, but he knew it was there. And it knew him. Suddenly, a shift. The darkness stirred like rippling water. From the shadows, something began to emerge. A silhouette, humanoid yet wrong. Its limbs moved with a sickening grace, its face a blur of smoke and shifting features. It didn't walk. It drifted, silent but suffocating. Daniel tried to scream, no voice. He tried to run, no legs. He could only float in stillness as the entity moved closer. And then, it spoke. Not in words, but in thoughts that carved themselves into his mind. You weren't supposed to see this. Its voice echoed like broken glass and distant thunder. You are between. The living call it death. We call it crossing. The shadow extended a hand, not solid, not flesh. Pure void. Daniel felt a pull, like gravity turned inside out. The veil is thin now, it whispered. What you bring back will follow. And with that, the void collapsed. A jolt. A scream. Daniel's eyes flew open on the hospital bed as doctors scrambled around him. Alive. Rescued. But he was not the same. Since that day, shadows lingered just a second too long. Whispers echoed in empty rooms. And every night when he closed his eyes, he felt that presence watching again, waiting for the moment he would return. Because death, Daniel learned, wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. The moment Sarah's heart stopped, everything changed. What she expected was peace, maybe light, silence, or nothing at all. But instead, she fell, violently and endlessly, into a realm that reeked of fire and despair. She landed hard on cracked, blackened stone. The air was thick with ash. The sky, if you could call it that, churned in swirling clouds of red and orange. Screams echoed from all directions, high-pitched, guttural, endless. They clawed at her mind. All around her were twisted figures, souls. Hundreds, thousands. Naked, scorched, writhing in agony. Some knelt, sobbing, while others beat their heads against the ground in silence. And overhead, shadows moved. They weren't human. Grotesque creatures crawled across the rocky cliffs, with skin that dripped like melted wax and jaws that unhinged too wide. They moved with jerky speed, pouncing on the tormented souls. Feeding. Sarah watched as one of the beasts dragged a screaming man across the ground. It began tearing at him, not flesh, but light, stripping away something deeper than the body. His screams faded into hollow silence, and then, nothing. Just a smudge of ash where he once was. She turned to run, but the world offered no escape, only walls of flame, rivers of boiling black, and the ever-present stench of burning sorrow. Her breath caught, not from heat, but from fear. This place, it was alive. It fed on pain. And then she saw it. Standing still in the chaos, staring directly at her, was a figure. A face she somehow recognized. It was her own, but twisted. One half, hers. The other, burned and demonic. Its eyes bled black smoke, and its mouth curled in a mocking grin. It raised a hand, slow and deliberate, and pointed at her chest. "You don't belong here, yet." A shock tore through her. Sarah gasped, jolting awake on the hospital table. Alive again. Saved. But the memory of that place never faded. Nor did the sound of those screams. And sometimes, in mirrors or reflections, she swore she still saw that face. Watching. Waiting. Because she knew now, death isn't freedom. It's a gate. And not everyone gets to walk away. For 3 minutes, Ethan was dead. Not unconscious, gone. His heart had stopped. His body lay still. But his mind, his soul, was somewhere else. He awoke in a vast, silent chamber with no walls, no ceiling, only an endless void of swirling mist and shadows. In the center stood a mirror. It was ancient. Towering. Its frame twisted with black vines and carved faces frozen in expressions of agony. Yet its glass was pristine, alive, almost breathing. Drawn to it, Ethan stepped forward. And then, the mirror moved. At first, it showed his childhood, pure, warm. Him riding a bike. His mother's smile. A birthday candle flickering in slow motion. The mirror wept nostalgia. Then it shifted. Now it showed his present, his failures, his regrets. A broken relationship. Missed calls from his father. Nights alone, drowned in silence. Every memory he tried to forget played out, crystal clear, unforgiving. But the worst came next. The mirror split, into infinite versions of him, living different lives. Some prosperous. Others twisted. In one, he was happy. In another, he was alone and bitter. In yet another, he was dying in a hospital bed, eyes wide with fear, reaching for help that never came. And in one future, he saw himself causing the death of someone he loved. The images burned into his mind. Suddenly, the mirror turned black. A figure appeared in its place, tall, robed in shadows, with a face hidden in moving smoke. "You weren't meant to see this," it rasped. Its voice echoed from every direction. Ethan tried to speak, but no sound came. "Your time was borrowed. And now, they know." Before he could ask what it meant, the chamber trembled. The mirror shattered into light, and Ethan was ripped away. His eyes flew open in the hospital. Alive. Breathing. But changed. From that day forward, mirrors reflected more than just his face. Sometimes, they showed moments that hadn't happened, yet. And behind him, always at the edge of vision, was the figure in smoke. Watching. Ethan knew one thing for certain. Death had shown him the truth. And life would never feel real again. When Maya's heart stopped, the world didn't fade to black. It shifted. She floated above her body, lifeless on the hospital bed, surrounded by doctors shouting, machines beeping in panic. But that wasn't what held her attention. The room echoed. Not with sound, but with voices, whispers, so faint, yet unmistakably real. They weren't coming from the living. Maya turned, and the hospital room peeled away like smoke. She was somewhere else now, an endless gray corridor stretching into darkness, its walls pulsing like a heartbeat. All around her were voices. Disembodied, scattered, layered over each other like threads of wind. Some sobbed. Some pleaded. Others warned. "Don't let it through." One hissed. "They see you now." Another murmured. "It feeds on memory. On fear." She followed the voices deeper, her bare feet silent against the shifting floor. The air grew colder, heavier. Shapes flickered in the shadows, figures half-formed, faces blurred, trapped between moments. Maya realized these were souls, spirits caught between life and death, unable to move on. Some reached out, their translucent hands passing through her. Their eyes weren't empty, they were full of knowing. Of pain. Of secrets never told. And then, she heard it. A different voice. Lower. Closer. Not a whisper. A presence. It didn't speak in words, but in pressure. Heavy. Smothering. It loomed at the end of the corridor, an unseen entity, vast and watching. You've heard what was forbidden, it said, not aloud but inside her mind. Now the veil remembers you. Panic surged through her. She turned, ran, the whispers chasing her, screaming louder, faster, as the corridor collapsed inward like a dying star. And then, silence. A gasp. Her body jolted. Eyes opened. Maya was alive. But the silence didn't last. Since that moment, the whispers followed her, behind walls, beneath floors, inside her dreams. Sometimes, she hears her name. Sometimes, they cry for help. And sometimes, they warn her that it is coming. Maya knows what she heard wasn't a dream. It was a door. And it never fully closed. When Liam's heart stopped, the doctors called it a miracle that he came back. 3 minutes. Gone. No pulse. No breath. And then, he opened his eyes. But something came back with him. At first, it was subtle. Shadows shifting in the corners of his room. Cold spots in warm air. Lights flickering with no reason. He dismissed it all, residual trauma, maybe a trick of the mind. But deep down, he knew. The world felt thinner. The air heavier. As if he was walking through two realities at once, one living, one not. Then came the footsteps. Soft. Measured. Following him through empty hallways, always just a step behind. He'd turn, nothing. But the feeling of being watched never left. One night, Liam saw it. A tall, gaunt figure standing at the end of his hallway, barely visible in the dim light. Its skin was gray, stretched, its face smeared like wet ash. No eyes, just dark sockets that stared through him. It didn't move. But the next night, it was closer. Objects in his home began to shift. A cup turned upside down. Drawers left open. The reflection in his mirror lingered a second too long after he stepped away. At first, he thought he was losing his mind. Until he saw another. Then another. Soon, they were everywhere. In crowds, in reflections, in the spaces between streetlights at night. Always silent. Always watching. Liam realized they weren't ghosts, they were something else. Things that noticed him when he crossed over. Things that weren't supposed to see the living. Or maybe, he wasn't fully living anymore. A message scratched into his bathroom mirror one morning confirmed it. You came back. That was the mistake. He tried to tell others. No one believed him. Now, he sleeps with the lights on. But it doesn't help. The figures are patient. And every day, they get a little closer. Because crossing back from death carries a price. And Liam is still paying it.